That's actually really important that you just said that. That's current events and shopping trends go hand in
They
hand.
do.
This one's really, really in demand.
That is the most proof of demand. Like what people are actually buying is the most proof of demand. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday Grind. I'm your host, Angel. Today we're going live to show you exactly how to spot Etsy products before they blow up. You'll see our step-by-step research strategy to uncover market gaps, validate demand, and find emerging trends before they're saturated. This is how top sellers mine their Q4 goldmine. And now you can too. All right, guys, today we are joined by Hannah Gardner. She is the powerhouse behind tools like Profit Tree, Etsy research tools, new Etsy research tools like Product Finder and Etsy Radar. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you for having me, Angel. Thank you so much.
Can you share a little bit about your Etsy journey and what really inspired you to create these new tools?
Yeah, for sure. So I started Etsy because with serial entrepreneur, I was looking to find financial freedom, location freedom, all of those things. I tried to get into e-commerce first through a drop shipping model, had a social media marketing agency. I just did like the serial entrepreneurial mistakes of just trying a bunch of different things. And actually one of my clients she was the Shopify Etsy hybrid store. And that's how I got introduced to Etsy and the power of Etsy. And arguably even still today, Etsy is still today. I still haven't been proven to be given an alternative to sell online that is easier than Etsy. Etsy is still by far like e-commerce for beginners in terms of getting started, getting to talk to customers, collecting data on your customers. It's still by far the easiest platform to launch a business on in the e-commerce world today. And so because I had a client that basically had an Etsy store, I got to learn the ins and outs of e-commerce. And so I basically ended up stopping my agency and I started my own store. And so that's how I got into the Etsy game. I started it actually in this bedroom. This is my grandma's house. At the time, it was her office. It's just like a little tiny room. And yeah, we quickly scaled. It was a fast fashion jewelry company. We found a production partner that would actually make our molds for us and turn our product around like really, really fast. We created a really, really strong relationship with our production partner. And yeah, we just did all the distribution, all the sales through here. Primarily Etsy was our biggest channel, and then Shopify, and then Faire, and then also wholesale. We grew it in this little 10 by 10 room before we could afford a real office. And then we moved into an office. And then somewhere in there, I started well, I did a lot of things. I've made a lot of mistakes before Profit Tree, but even with that brand, I made a lot of mistakes, which I have documented on my YouTube channel, just a lot of different mistakes, shiny object syndrome, firing problems that I experienced, all of which I share publicly. It's not all about wins. Like as an entrepreneur, it's not just like a straight shot to the top. There's a lot of errors and mistakes and money lost and time spent, not well spent, lessons learned. Profit Tree was a product of my shiny object syndrome, where I saw a gap in the market. For our Shopify store, we had an app that showed us our real-time profit because you're spending money on Facebook ads and Google ads all day long. And it's very much more riskier when you're running a Shopify store, because when you set your budget to $1,000 a day, it's actually going to spend your $1,000. And so that means that you need to be really about your media buying and your numbers and all this stuff. So I actually had an app that would show me my profit on Shopify. And I thought this was just such a cool concept because there was nothing like that on Etsy. And so Profit Tree in its first version was solely this type of product. So it was an internal analytics tool that showed you your profit and a lot of other high-level metrics. Because if you don't understand, if you don't know your profit in your business, you can't actually scale it. And that's how most people run their business, because they're hobbyists or they don't really care, which is fine. It's just a different business model than what we were running, right? We were doing 7 figures year over year and growing year over year, even though we had a suspension on Etsy for 6 months, right? And so when you're doing that game on the highest level, you have to know your numbers. Like, it's just not possible. If you really want to scale up, you have to be able to, like, you basically can't spend money on ads because, I mean, you can, but then you run the risk of losing money. And so yeah, so that was what Profit Tree was like initially solving, was real-time profit tracking. So now if you can see your profit, that means you're ready to invest in marketing once you understand your margins. And then we built tools that help you actually run your ads profitably. And that was kind of like Profit Tree 1.0. And then we realized that we built a tool that is really, really advanced. So most sellers are just looking to get their first 100 sales, their first 1,000 sales. And so we really needed to close the gap for the market. We wanted to offer this unique feature, which is profit tracking and ads optimization that no one else offers. And we understand why now, because it's really hard. Profit tracking is really hard when you factor in all the different types of business models. You have print on demand, digital, handmade. The way that you track profit that way is very hard. So we tackled that problem. But then now we also needed to figure out, okay, well, what is at the beginning of the Etsy seller journey, which is where most people are, which is finding trends, finding niches, product opportunities, and doing product research. So then in the second version, which we're actually working on its third version right now, is not only internal analytics, but we're also external analytics. So we now show actually product research. So we have a product research tool that is the number one product research tool in the market. No one can compete with us for what we offer for the price that you pay. So we go one-to-one for metric with all the other tools, but we give you additional metrics that no other tool can give you. And we beat every single other tool as for price point for product research specifically. And then we have other features coming out for competitor tracking, shop tracking, listing tracking, which are going to be launching before the end of the year. And then we have a lot of things in our pipeline in terms of 2026.
What's awesome is like for one price, then you get like grandfathered into a lot of these features, you know? And so it's such a no-brainer. Like I was just like dumbfounded when I first used it. I was like, whoa, this is just, it's such a really good tool that I actually use. And it's going to help you spot trends, find market gaps, emerging trends before they're oversaturated.
The lifetime offer is just a deal that we're running. That's not like for our ever business models. We do, to what you're saying, is just a one-time payment for some access.
Which I think has some of the most important tools, you know, as
Yes.
far as like what I've been using. I think they're all really amazing. But yes, we can talk more about that later as far as what's included with lifetime, what's not included, just so people are really clear.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump in to the live research portion where we're going to show them, we're going to walk them step by step how we're using tools like this to find gaps in the market, to find emerging trends so that we can cash in on those trends for Q4.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Yes. So this is Profitry. This is the profit tracking dashboard, right? So we give you your profit after all your fees, right? Like if you sell with Printify or Printful, right, you can connect your shops here and then we just give you that. So this was, like I said, this was our first version, was this profit tracking dashboard. You need to know your percentage of profit after all your costs in order to run ads. Like if you don't know that, then you're just simply not ready to run ads yet. But this was the first version. But what we're talking about today is basically our two new product research tools, which is Product Finder and Etsy Radar. So if you are somebody that's like launching right now and you're going into say like the print on demand space and you wanted to capitalize on Q4, like fall, holiday, your first line of action is just analyzing the market on the broadest level. Like, let's just see what the opportunity is. Like most sellers fundamentally, it's not that they fail, it's just they get a bad taste in their mouth, because when you start a business, no matter if it's on Etsy or whatever, you have to find the balance between what you want to sell and what the market is actually willing to buy, right? That if you do too much of one and too much of the other, and you don't find a balance, you can run the risk of burnout because you're just doing something that you fundamentally don't like doing. Or on the other side, if you're just building products that you like, you alone are not a big enough data sample to say that that product is going to be successful. And so when you're starting any business, like so many people want to skip this step because you're just so excited, but any business requires this step. And the jadedness or the burnout that people experience is a product of not taking this step because they don't know who they're competing against. And specifically on Etsy, Etsy is a marketplace where you have competition, like direct competition. Your listing is showing up directly next to your competitor and you're competing for clicks. And so that means that every moment of truth that you have for your listing needs to be optimized for what the market is saying that is working. And so the way that we're going to do this is like, we're going to just search something broad because we just want to get some idea. So if we're doing print on demand with say Printify or My Designs or something like that, and we just want to see what is actually gaining traction right now in the marketplace. So I put Christmas shirts here, and then I put some filters for a physical good since we're going to be doing print on demand and not digital download. So we want to make sure that it's only showing us like physical good items. And then I put another filter here that says that I just want to see the top demand. So it either has 20 plus sitting in carts now, or it actually has sales in the last 24 hours. And these are proven badges that are on the Etsy platform. With any tools like this, you have proprietary algorithms that are making calculations based off of the public data that Etsy gives you. Our claim to fame, or what we're shooting for to really become the number one tool, is the frequency of which we update our data in comparison to our competition. That is what we're shooting for. We're trying to have the most accurate and most updated data, because tools like this are basically pulling thousands and thousands of data points from Etsy. So one thing that I like to look at here is this demand badge here, which is exactly what we filtered for, right? We want to see what is actually selling right now in the marketplace. So I clicked on
that is the most proof of demand. Like what people are actually buying is like the most proof of demand.
100%, right? Like a lot of tools will give you monthly estimated revenue and stuff like that. This is also really valuable, but every single tool that's doing this, it's an algorithm, right? So it's making an estimation. The hardest proof of data is this badge, because this badge is really what's showing the truth of how is the demand right now. So now that we have the filters, what we're basically doing is we're going shopping for product ideas. So we're just going to go shop the marketplace to see what's going on. So let's just see this Christmas shirt here. I'm guessing that it's a Christmas shirt that because it is green and they slapped the word Christmas shirt in there, right? Which is all right. It looks kind of fall, like, and it's not Christmas per se, but it's falling into the fall vibe, right? And you can see that 16 people bought this in the last 24 hours, right? And I'm personally not an expert at design and print on demand. I actually think Angel is. You're pretty good. So you probably can explain better than me, like what this text is and what this is, like the technical term this is called in terms of what is this, like pattern overlay?
Yeah, pattern text. It's with the university or collegiate font that's super popular right now because it has the flowers. It has a little bit of a cottage core. This holiday season and in the fall, like rusty colors, like rusty green, rusty brown, or like what color palette am I thinking of? Like more earth tones is very popular for holidays and for fall. So I think all of that together, and like to me, this sort of has like a fall/holiday feel, and so it's like very like universal. And right now, the Christian niche is really popping off, because of things that going on in the news, current events. Christian niche is going to be huge this year.
That's actually really important that you just said that. That's current events and shopping trends go hand in hand. So, and yeah, and another like really cool, like exactly what you just said is, one of a key performance indicator. Like, so if you were somebody searching for what you wanted to sell, shopping for what you want to sell, right? Like a really important thing is to notice is what is the color of their mock-up here, right? It's specifically, they're showing you exactly what it is. It's a comfort color. I don't know what color green this is, but that is the winning shot, right? Because it's that picture that's getting them that click with that color, right? And that is data that you're collecting that tells you that's working, right? Another piece of data that we just pulled out that she said is, it's religious. It's in the Christian space. So that doesn't mean that you go and steal this. Okay, we have the green shirt. We know it's in the Christian space, right? Made for more. I'm guessing this is from the Bible, right? Can you do something different in the Bible, right? That could give that same impact if this would make sense to exist in your store. This one is 36 people bought in the last 24 hours. This was another one that we found in Profitry. This one's really, really in demand. We have a low ticket pricing, right? And again, this is all data, right? But we see, I don't know if are these break-even price points, Angel, off the top?
What is their shipping like? Because sometimes they build it into the shipping too. So like $14 and then like, what is the shipping?
The shipping is
$5. Okay. So then it may be break even until what some sellers do is they do break even to rank and get that like, try and rank to the first page and then they raise the prices. Or this is a mom and pop shop where they're hand making this. They have a staff, which it's kind of interesting. I've talked to people who did that, like the creator of like Hello Custom, for example. Chris, he had a shop just like this where they did the handmade shirts and they didn't, use print and demand initially, and discovered that like compared to successful sellers who did print and demand, they actually were making less money, even though they were like a multi-million-dollar like Etsy shop because of the cost of having a staff to make these.
That is so true. So yeah, Steven, you're talking about. So
Steven. Yes, Steven. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, he had a huge warehouse, huge print shop, 30 employees. And when he runs his profit, so like when he would look at his profit numbers, his profit at the end of the month was still the same as the leading print on demand shop. So his profit margin was still in between 10 to 15%, right? And so it was like, wow, why don't I just do print on demand instead? Since the margins of me trying to do it myself are ultimately the same, you're really on the highest level. So I like what you said there. You can see
for
that.
those of you who may not be familiar with print on demand is a way to sell custom products online, like t-shirts, mugs, or phone cases, without having to buy inventory up front. You design it once, upload that design to a printing partner like Printify, and then you list it in your shop. And when a customer orders, the product is printed and shipped directly to them by a fulfillment partner. That means that there are no boxes in your garage, you're not storing a bunch of products, there's no big startup costs, and you only pay after you've made a sale. You can get started with Printify for free using the link in the description.
So there, you can see there is some more expensive ones, or I guess it's sweatshirts, so that's why. But for instance, like they could be doing this break-even pricing, right? We're only in September right now, but like say October comes around and then all of a sudden they bait and switch and they start increasing the price. But look at all of the momentum that the listing just got. Like 36 people bought this in the last 24 hours. So that's a data on a certain pricing strategy that you could follow. So like you launch it right now at, say you go 1-to-1 for this pricing, but then as soon as you get momentum and reviews going, the momentum is going to carry over, even if you increase your price. This is a really good strategy to come into the marketplace really, really hot and then increase your prices for actual profitability.
I've seen people who just do it like for their first 2 sales, and then they'll increase it by 50 cents or $1 for each sale so that they're, obviously we're here to make profit. So if that makes you nervous, you don't have to do it for an extended period of time. But some sellers are just like, they just see the end game and they're like, I want to be ranked on that first page. And that's just a strategy that they use.
Right. Let's see if we can find another one here.
I don't know if it's a live trademark, but just a heads up that most likely to, at least a year ago, was trademarked. So just be careful. Always check your trademarks, guys, before you list on Etsy. Okay. I don't know if it's still live or not. So just like always check your phrases.
Got it. And then for something like this, again, you're more of the expert here, but can you do embroidery like this on Printful?
I know Printful does have more colors. So right now, Printful, like if you're needing a lot of colors, Printful does have more colors than Printify.
Okay. Or even if this was just all black, that would still, right. Sitting in 20 carts right now. And I think the embroidery, from what I've heard, actually, we embroidered Profit Tree sweaters and they came out pretty good. Would you say that it's like pretty good with print on demand right now?
Yes. And it's a high search, like lower competition keyword too. People are searching for Christmas embroidered sweatshirts and apparel. Cozy, like the word cozy is trending this year like crazy. Oftentimes those listings with the embroidery are ranking for the word cozy. So definitely high perceived value. You know what I mean? People are willing to pay more for it. If it's something that you are interested in learning more about and trying, I definitely recommend it. It's a great way to stand out in the market.
Yeah. And so the unique value prop here is it's personalized, right? So you can get a personalized embroidery graphic, right? So you basically take your customer's image, you probably throw into ChatGPT, have it make it into this sort of design, and then you fulfill it with, I guess, Printify or Printful with their embroidery. And then actually Steven with Hello Custom, or, there's a lot of personalization tools that can automate this process for you. This one you still would have to do it manually, but really cool opportunity here. Another cool thing outside of just looking at the actual listing that I like that we're doing is that we're actually showing you the strategy of the listing. So like, is it running ads? You can see that all of these top listings are running ads. Like there's only a few that have an X, right? So ads are really important. Moving into 2026, it's almost going to be necessary for you to invest in marketing for your business. Another thing that we can notice here is like almost nobody offers free shipping.
Interesting. Right? That's good to know.
So the free shipping, because it's exactly what you said, is when you don't offer free shipping, you can have a lower price on the front end, which helps you get that click. Most of these are also personalized as well.
It's huge. Yes.
Absolutely huge. So we also have a Profit Tree Chrome extension. This is the Etsy Radar. And both of these, with our lifetime deal that we were talking about before, you actually get unlimited searches on both of these with our lifetime access deal. Our lifetime access deal is $67, and you basically get every single thing that you see here, except for visibility score and conversion rate. So only those two things are blurred out. And you get profit tracking on a 30-day calendar window. So for the calendar over here, you basically get up to 30 days to see your profit tracking. But we wanted to give people that are on the lifetime deal some more advanced tools like 30 days of profit profit tracking, and even the same thing with 30 days of our advertisement optimization tool as well. But let's just go back to Etsy Radar because I'm actually really excited about this. We just made some upgrades here where we're actually not only showing the data here, but we're also embedding the data into the actual screen on a search page. So you basically search fall shirts like this. And one thing, a little hack actually that I like to do is that I utilize the filters in Etsy. So if you come into here and you go to Etsy's best, select star seller, right? And then I go to the URL here and I actually erase the word star and I put the word best there instead.
Yes. Yeah, but a lot of sellers don't. And I think it's so helpful.
Yeah, it's eventually we're just gonna have our own filter system in the Etsy Radar, but right now it's kind of like our hack. You can go to filters, sort it by star seller, and then change out the word star for best. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna take all the listings that have a badge and it's gonna put it to the top of the page, right? And so now we have in-app data like this. So it's just showing you really cool insights like average order value, the age, the amount of favorites, the views, conversion rate. Again, if on the lifetime deal, the only thing that we're not showing is conversion rate in the visibility score, that's the only thing that's blurred out. And so this gives you the ability to search not just from our internal database of products, right? So Product Finder is like our internal database of products that we're constantly fetching, but this allows you to search unlimited basically on the actual Etsy platform. And then when you click on Etsy Radar here, it takes that page and sorts it in the similar way that Product Finder does. So you can go ahead and start searching from this way. So we put in fall shirts at the top. So let's just see if I can click on one here. So here again, we have one in the religious space, which we just talked about, right? So I will praise him. So 9 people bought this in the last 24 hours. This is super, super fall. Would you say it's already a little bit too late for October?
I would focus at this point, personally, I would focus at this point on Christmas, but there's still definitely time for fall sales, especially because people buy fall well into November. And so there's still definitely time for it, but I would probably look for a way to make religious themed ones for the holidays for Christmas.
Yeah, like this is clearly
So like that's like an Art Deco aesthetic.
Do you have any tips? I guess like do you use ChatGPT or something
Or like,
to basically?
or we'll call it like a wood etching.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the different ways I've seen them described, but it's sort of
Okay.
like black print. Yeah, it's super trendy right now.
Cool.
And you could even screenshot this. Once again, the goal is never to copy. You always want to add new value. Okay. But you could just screenshot it, take it into ChatGPT and ask it, how can I add new value to this design or like transform this into a holiday design, take it to a whole another niche. And then it will give you some prompts. It will give you some ideas of how to do that. It can even help you create prompts where you could generate an image that you could sell.
Right.
So yeah, just always look for ways to add new value.
Yeah. And now I think with the new ChatGPT, upload a picture, it already knows. Hopefully that is also one of our goals with Profitry is that we would have our own basically ChatGPT inside of Profitry that's utilizing all of the specific Etsy data. So it would be a super targeted basically ChatGPT for just Etsy users. That's like our version 4, hopefully going to be live by 2026. Just refresh the search here with Christmas shirts. So it's just pulling in the data here. Actually kind of interesting that this is an ad obviously, but still ad placements being shown on the first picture. Like this is just really simple. Obviously you're going to see a boatload of trademark stuff, which you have to, you cannot do that. But actually, is there a trademark? This one, yeah, Disney, right? I'm still confused by the Disney stuff. I still don't understand, but for the most part, it's getting it's pretty clean here with not too many trademarks. But let's just let the data load in.
A lot of like comfort colors, a lot of earth tones, a lot of retro palettes, like vintage palettes.
And it's interesting to see that it's like all of this actually like would almost make sense for it to exist in like a single store. Like the aesthetic is pretty consistent throughout, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm also noticing a lot. Oh yeah. The postage stamps, sort of the vintage postage stamps right there. The third one. Lots of army green or mossy green, super popular. Monochromatic. So like that gingerbread sort of collage there, that they're utilizing like the monochromatic aesthetic. So where they're incorporating like colors that are on the shirt. So that espresso shirt, it's like different tones of espresso that they're using. That's very trendy. That's been trendy all of 2025.
So previously we were showing you how to just filter by hot on Etsy, which is showing you the ones that have the demand, like an actual demand badge. But we're going to go a little bit further here and just show you some ways that you can actually utilize this even more, right? So I'm going to go ahead and type in Christmas shirt. I'm going to do the hot on Etsy, and I'm going to show you some more filters that are really, really beneficial, especially if you're starting out for the first time. So we're going to come in here and we're going to further filter it by the age of the listing. And we're going to obviously put that filter on it for a physical product as well, since we're doing physical instead of digital products. Okay, so we're going to come into the filters, right? And we have the 20 cards, the popular in the last 24 hours, right? And we are going to come down here and we are going to go to, you can do shop age, but we're also going to do listing age. So we are going to go to, how many months do we want to do, Angel? Maybe like 4 months old?
Sure, 4 months old.
So when you do this, what you're doing is you're trying to find listings that are young, that are showing really good demand, right? Let's just make it even 6 months. So say this person, because it's in the last 6 months, if they're launching a Christmas shirt, they gain momentum. I don't know if you recommend posting listings that far in advance, but let's just see who's doing it and who's doing it well, right? So again, we don't want to look at, the Christmas one, but it's interesting to see that this one, the one that we showed previously, is actually, this is the 36 bought in the last 24 hours. So this listing is less than 6 months old, which that means that this listing hasn't even gone through a season yet, a full season of Christmas. So that's a really, really good sign that doing something like this is going to gain momentum, and it's going to gain momentum fast. And the reason why things like this do usually gain momentum really fast is because of the incentivized group sale. So what happens when you show more than one product in a main image is basically it's telling the buyer, well, because the way it's advertised and marketed is it's incentivizing a group listing. So that means they're most likely going to buy more than one unit off of one listing. And when the algorithm sees that the listing is getting a lot of purchases compared to other listings, meaning the same people are buying more than one thing, right? That helps your SEO a lot. And so it doesn't mean your whole store has to be something like this, but these are your heavy hitters that you definitely want to sprinkle in your launch processes, basically.
Absolutely. Just having like couple shirts, his and her, or a family shirt where you've got the couple and then the 2 kids, maybe a onesie and a toddler shirt. Those can do really, really well. You tend to have buyers who buy multiple, which helps give you that boost too, and increases your profit per sale. I would say most really successful Etsy shops do utilize that strategy. Always be thinking of like, how can I make this a group listing?
Yeah. And like, to your point, like it's actually really interesting because like when we do, so remember, we sorted it by less than 6 months old. So that means that, these are young listings gaining traction fast, since they are the ones with the most demand, showing the demand badges, right? And what's noticed, like just some data here is like, look at the consistency of how many are doing the group listing. So the first 3, right? And then here it is again, like on this page alone, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So 50% of these top listings are doing that strategy. So that's a really, like, if you're trying to launch and you're trying to get, set yourself up for the max return as fast as possible, right? Doing like a really good batch of groups, right, is a really, really good angle. So even like we just looked at something like this, 15 bought in the last 24 hours. This is just a name and like an AI hat, right? With in the listing, you have the option to buy everything, right? So, and actually this one doesn't even have break-even pricing on all their variation options. They're doing loss leader pricing. So they're just taking one variation option, most likely the least sold variation option, and making it cheaper than the rest. But the rest looks like the pricing is pretty much regular print-on-demand pricing, and they're giving the free shipping, and then they're charging $6 for shipping on the back end, which I think at $6, right, that makes them a little bit of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
there's so many ways to add new value to that. You could be going like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, what's something you could do to like step this up to add new value.
Mhm.
There's not like any real trends here. Like maybe you add in a new trend that's you don't see here. Maybe there's a Western version that you have. People always like, they want something that speaks to them and like their family. Don't look at this and go like, there's no way I could compete with this, because you couldn't. Like if you were to like basically do this exact same listing with maybe a different sort of Santa hat and a different slightly font, like you're not going to get anywhere, because they're already ranking. So you can't win that way. But if you're adding new value, you're offering leopard print, maybe you're offering for like the ladies version or for the kids version, or maybe you're doing entirely different graphic. Maybe you're doing Western, because people, there are a lot of people who would consider themselves to be more like country, like their family, they would like that more. But there's just so many different ways to add new value to this. And once again, if you're like stuck, screenshot it, put into AI and ask AI, like, to, considering current trends, what's a new way I could add value to this so that I could stick out from the competition? And you might be surprised at what ideas it could spit out for you.
Yeah, 100%. Even just like what you just said, one little thing of value that I could think of is maybe you put the date there, like 2025, because every year they do family shirts and they want to know they do a picture, right? And they want to see this was 2025 versus 2024 or whatever. When she's saying add value, that is the value. That is
Right.
different value than what the market has. So, yeah, that's
And a lot of people search by year too, specifically. So they search 2025 family shirts. So good hack there is to personalize it with the year, and then make sure somewhere in your SEO and your title or in your tags, you do have the year.
This one's just I love my wife. Let's see what else we got.
Okay, that's a really good one. His and her or couple holiday out shirts, sweatshirts, super popular. They want them for Christmas morning. They want them for Christmas photos. You're more likely to get 2 sales rather than just 1 sale. So it's an upsell. So yeah.
Let's just see what comes up here for his and her Christmas shirt. So this is
Can you
going to keep
explain the niche score?
Oh, yes. Niche score is just a proprietary algorithm that we've created, and that's telling you basically how we're gauging that keyword or that niche, basically what keywords are niches, or searches are keywords and keywords are niches, right? And so it's telling you what is the demand overall for that long tail keyword. This is giving you 100%, which is like 100% green light, really, really good opportunity. Same thing with out of all the searches that we find, right? 36% of them are the amount that are showing up here, right? 36% of them have bestseller badges. How many are actually running ads? Another really cool thing, if you're trying to analyze your competition on the shop level. So we found the top shops that have his and her Christmas shirt here. If you toggle to the shops column, and what we have here is something called the demand ratio. And this is saying that in these competitor shops, what percentage of listings do they have active that have some sort of demand badge? So an add to cart badge, an Etsy badge, views in the last 24-hour badge. And those are the shops that you want to pay attention to in terms of competitors, because they obviously are doing something right. So proportional to the amount of listings they're launching, this is 22% are doing well, right? Whereas like here's another one that says 32% are doing well. And those are your, the main competitors that you're going to want to analyze. So this is another really cool thing that you can utilize as well when you're doing that research. And then, the next version of this is that you actually begin to track. So you could actually add, if this is your competitor, you could click track here, and then you could start tracking your competitor's sales against your sales to see it and make sure that you're actually staying in line with your competition.
Really, it's important. If you're a brand new seller, you're just getting started, take the time to go into those successful shops. To me, a successful shop is a shop that's been open, as far as looking to reverse engineer the search traffic and what's like really trending, is a shop that's been open in the last like 1 to 4 years, has over 20,000 sales. And I'm trying to think of what that would be the big things, because like if you can take off and you have over 20K sales on Etsy in less than 3 years, like you are doing something right. And whatever strategies that they're employing, you can employ a lot of those strategies too. It's not like they have some sort of secret in with Etsy. They don't. They use strategies that you can replicate. But there are proven strategies that you can use as well. So you're going to look at their thumbnail strategy. What kind of mockups are they using? What kind of niches are they in? Are they in high search, low competition niches? And oftentimes these really successful shops that lots of people see, like it's not a big secret that they're successful, but they're actually in low competition niches where it's high search, lower competition, or maybe they're bringing in a new aesthetic that no one else is really capitalizing on. So, pay attention to how they have their thumbnail set up, what their pricing strategy is, what their shipping strategy is, what is their social media presence like. Those are things that you need to keep an eye on. All you have to do is just do a Google search. If you see a multi-million-dollar shop that is doing 100 sales a day, take a look to see what they're doing on social media, or is it all SEO driven? Sometimes it is. I'd say oftentimes there is a social media piece, but not always.
Okay, I just realized, I had my filter on more than 6 months old, but we want it to be less than 6 months old. Still great data though. Okay, let's see here. I was looking at that. I was like, why am I seeing shops that have 10 months old? Okay, so we're less than 6 months old. All right, so this one still makes it for this first one that we were looking at before. So this one, so equivalent to that, right? This one is actually less than 6 months old, which we already talked about. Let's just see what other ones we got that are not trademarked. And again, the Etsy search does a lot better, I feel like, with the trademark ones. Whereas like we're just finding the top ones here, which we will weed out here eventually as well. So let's see here. This is just a basic Comfort Colors dad shirt. So 4 people bought this in the last 24 hours, right? Christmas gift for dad, right? So that's like really, really simple, established in 2025, right? Like, you're buying this for your brother, your cousin who's a new dad that year, and not reinventing the wheel or doing anything crazy on this by any means. Yeah, only 3 months old, 20 added carts badge, 4 sold in the last 24 hours. So that's really, really simple. We don't want anything with Disney.
I feel like gifts for men is very underserved on Etsy, but a lot of people, think about who's coming to search. It's often women, and they're buying gifts for their husbands or buying gifts for their godparents. So definitely a niche to consider getting into.
We do gift for men, just to go a little deeper on that idea.
And what's really nice is when you make your shop more gift oriented, I feel like you're setting yourself up for more success than like I'm following a trend right now. I think that a lot of people come to Etsy for gifting. So you should always be thinking in that gift mode kind of thing. Like this is a gift. Who is this for? Keeping that in mind can be really, really helpful.
So gift for men. This one says 21 sold in the last 24 hours. I'm curious. It looks like a jersey. I don't know if it's print on demand, but let's just see here. Do you know anyone that does print on demand jerseys or no?
I wouldn't be surprised if there is though.
So this is a really simple one. Vintage 1965, so 60th birthday shirt. But let's see. This is not as Christmassy as we would like. Custom baptism shirt. So then that's that Comfort Colors green again, right? So this is not doing anything crazy. One thing to note that if you're doing smaller fonts like this, right, it's really important that you make sure that the mock-up can be zoomed in so that it shows up in the search page. So like anything that's small or hard to read, you really need to pay attention to your mock-up selection, because I know that you know what the product is because you made it, but in a search page, you have 2, maybe 1.5 seconds to earn that click. So it's really important that like this is a good mock-up choice for this because it's so small. So like if we went into their shop, let's just see. Yeah, so it like this is kind of like the best choice for something like this, right? Where like this would be way too far away. I mean, even like this, arguably like these are even too far away. But this is clearly working with this for this shirt.
Minimalist sort of aesthetic, so like minimalist design and a very minimalist mock-up.
Yeah, exactly. Women's dinosaur shirt. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's like gift idea here. 2 people bought this in the last 24 hours.
To me, I think someone who was like attending a kid's party, like dinosaur party, which I've had dinosaur parties for my kids before. I would totally wear it to that. Once again, going back to that mentality of like having people on Etsy are intent driven. When they come to Etsy, they're generally people aren't like browsing. It's not like they're in the, when you're at the mall and you're kind of looking around, they're not browsing. So they have an intent. They know what they're going to type into the search query. Okay. They're looking for a gift for book lovers. They're looking for a gift for coffee lovers. And so going back to that milestone gift. So that the one earlier was the birthday one. So for the dinosaurs, milestone birthdays are huge. The vintage shirt, they showed us one, the vintage 1965. That's a milestone birthday. So someone wanted to buy it to recognize that milestone birthday. So always be thinking in terms of intent-based searches, intent-based buyers, and look any listing that you create, like what is the intent of the listing? What is the problem solving, or who is it for? Who is the audience?
Cool. Yeah. Lots of ideas. This is really just going to give you those insights to go in there and just see what the market is saying. And it's always finding that balance, that overall brand vibe, that overarching brand vibe. And marketing a store on Etsy is one of the hardest things to teach. But when I try to explain how to set up your stores, it's really important that you in the beginning are really focused on creating a cohesive brand vibe. So like if you walk into a store like Zara, like Free People, right, there's an identifiable brand vibe in Free People that's different than in a store like Zara, right? And so even if you're doing print on demand and you're making funny shirts or dad shirts or whatever, like all of that can exist in one store. Just like if you go to Zara, they have boys, girls, right? They have fancy, not so fancy clothes, but the overall aesthetic is cohesive, right? Yes. And so when you put all their images together, they make sense and look good. And like a lot of these top listings maintain that level of cohesiveness. Like when I look at all of these color palettes, right, and all these designs, it makes sense that it could actually exist in a physical store without really clashing too much with each other. And it's no surprise yet when you sort it by these young listings that are doing the best and you actually look into all these shops, right, you see that consistency throughout, right? It's not like this like tacky Key West gift shop look and feel of that, like they actually are intentional with their mock-ups, their designs, the placement, and all of those things. But yeah,
how many listings do you think someone needs to launch an Etsy shop?
This is my personal opinion, Angel, and you might disagree with this, but for me, I don't really care about the number. It's not really about the end number. It's about whatever's consistent over long periods of time. So like posting new things to sell in any business model on Etsy, like whether it's digital, physical, or print on demand, your engine of a business on Etsy comes down to two things. It comes down to launching more things to sell and getting your Etsy ads budget to the max. Sometimes we like to overcomplicate things. There's other low-hanging fruit things that you can do with retargeting and stuff like that. But the bulk of your money is coming from launching more things to sell and getting your ads budget to the max. Like 80% of your money is coming from there, right? You might have a repeat buyer rate of 15, 20%, right? You might get like 7% traffic from Pinterest, right? Which is great, other traffic, but the bulk of your money comes from those two parts of your engine. And so I don't really care about the end number as much as picking to something in your launch process and staying consistent with it for what is realistic for you. So like if you have a full-time job and it's only realistic that you can only make 5 listings a week, then only do 5 listings a week and just do that over long periods of time. Yeah. And there's really no end number because you're always launching, but it is important to look at some of your competitors, right? Especially when we have our tracking feature, this is going to be especially helpful because you do want to see, okay, these are my top 5 competition based off data, right? Like I'm happy with the amount of sales that they look like they're doing, the actual number of sales they're doing per month, right? I want to beat this person. Right. And so it is in your best interest to actually track how many listings they have and how many listings they're launching every month as well. And that can also give you clarity on how many you should be doing based off of what your competition's doing. It's not like you have to just beat your competition, right? Because it is quality over quantity as well. However, if you want to play that game, you will be able to play that game with Profitry as well when you can start tracking your actual competitor shops.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think one other thing that we were going to talk about here was some of our plans, our lifetime offer deal. Yeah. I think we talked about it here. So yeah, we have a lifetime offer deal and what is actually included in that, what is not included. So it's $67 and you get unlimited searches on Etsy Radar and Product Finder. Like I said, the only thing that gets blurred out is visibility score and conversion rate. But even if you wanted to go to one of our regular subscriptions, we intentionally designed this tool to basically beat the price that you would pay anywhere else for all the metrics we give. So if you wanted to go to one of our regular plans, right, I think growth plan would be the plan for you, or pro plan if you wanted conversion rate and visibility score, still cheaper than what you would have to pay somewhere else to get conversion rate and visibility score. And so our lifetime plan is kind of this in-between starter and growth plan. Our lifetime offer gives you actually more metrics and product research. And that was kind of where this lifetime offer came, because it was like, how can we beat everything on the market and make it cheaper and basically give you unlimited product research for one payment. But in addition to that, we give you, like I said, the 30 days of profit tracking. So you have a 30-day calendar window. And we have an advertisement optimization tool, which includes, with the $67 offer, you get access to our private community and you get a free Etsy ads masterclass. So if you're someone that's ready for ads, it includes a course on how to actually use this properly, because most people don't run their ads for profit. They just run them kind of blind, which is really scary if you don't actually know what margins you're running in your business, basically. So that is the full transparency of the lifetime offer. It doesn't include product or listing reports, just because those are more advanced tools, but everything else I mentioned is included.
To me, this is such a no-brainer. It's just like, what an amazing deal. And I just love that it's lifetime. It doesn't include everything, but I think it includes the important tools that you need to really make data-driven decisions on Etsy and for your business. So like you could, if you wanted to, you could cancel your subscription-based research tools that you're paying a lot of money for a year and have this one price and have access to data points that you don't get anywhere else. And that's the most up to date. So yeah, I'm really proud of you for building this, and thank you for sharing it with us. You could have kept this to yourself. So I'm just super, super pumped for this. And I've already created products from this that I would not have found with anything else. I wouldn't have found it with my own research. I wouldn't have found it with a different tool. I found it because of Etsy Radar and your product finder tool. So it's already making a difference in my own shops. So definitely recommend at least checking it out. Where can they find you at? Where can they find Etsy Radar at? How do they get access to these tools?
Yeah, so for our regular plans, you can just go to profittree.io for this. We do have a free plan. For our lifetime, we have a special link, which I'll give to you. It's at lifetime.profittree.io. It's a different URL, so I can give you that link. You can find us on YouTube. My channel is Ecom Hannah.
That link below.
Hopefully we can have you on my channel again here soon.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much, Angel, for letting me come on and share all this. This has been, in my entrepreneur journey, software has been the single most hardest thing I've ever done. It is, I thought it was going to be like so simple, but it's not. But it's finally coming to fruition, and we're finally seeing that it's helping sellers like really, really grow. And yeah, we have so much more to come.
That's awesome. And I think that the harder something is to build, the more rewarding it really is. So in 5 years from now, you'll be like, I'm so glad about this, build this amazing tool. Well, thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Angel. Bye, guys.